Hey everybody, we're going to talk a little bit about our food supply, and I just want to give you some information that I've gotten, and I want you to make your own decision. Is our food supply under attack? Or are they now going after the Amish? Which I moved out here to the country because the Amish are here. I've always wanted to live amongst them, and I do, and I love it. I love learning things from them. You know, I will never become Amish. I can't go to that extreme, but I love the simplicity of their life. I love how they are self-sufficient, and I learn from them, and that's why I like to share these things with you on the video. But one of the things that I've learned lately is really disturbing to me. I'm going to share it with you, but it seems to me like their lifestyle, they're beginning to be under attack, and they're starting with the food supply. They're already, I believe, the United States, maybe across the world, I don't know, but our food supply is under attack. And again, you come to your own conclusion. I'm just sharing some things that I've seen. I'm going to give you some articles, and you can come up with your own conclusion. Before we get started, I'm going to feed some bananas to my goats. These were only bought like 2 days ago. They were yellow, they were perfect, and look at that. My husband says he believes it's from the chemicals that's sprayed on them. But, usually, remember, it used to take like a week. You'd have it on your counter, and maybe the last banana looked like this. This is 2 days. 2 days, and they were just real yellow. So they're not bad, but I'm not going to eat them at this point. I can give them to my goats. So we're going to do that right now. Oh, she loves it. Oh. This is Belle. I know this is just like a quick thing. Aren't they precious? She loves that. Here you go. You got her. Yep, here. I dropped. It's hard to videotape and feed the goat at the same time, but there they are. They're eating their bananas. And this big one here, that's Belle. She loves these bananas. She will be in heaven all day. There she goes. She's like, all right, I got it. There we go. Let's get started. The first story I want to talk about is the raid on Amos Miller's farm. Now, if you Google this story, as I have, this story goes back a few years. It's been going on for a few years, but just recently, marshals have been sent to his farm to get him to comply with the FDA regulations or the USDA regulations. And, if I'm going to give you the link to the article, go ahead and read below. You don't have to, scroll here and try to read it, but I've got the article below. I want you to read it. You can come to the conclusion that, yes, Amos should be following the USDA regulations for food, but you have to remember this man is Amish. Amish do things in the old-fashioned way. There have been practices that they've been doing for over 100 years, and he runs a very clean business. He sells to only his Amish community. He has what he calls a food club. There's over 4,000 members. So he's been doing this a very long time. And in the article, it even says that the marshals came in and it's very clean. They didn't find it dirty or anything like that. But from what I've read, a couple of people years ago have died from a bacteria that was in the milk. So, okay, that happens. What I question is, have we not had people die from food that the USDA has approved of the ways that things are done? Haven't people died from bacteria? Haven't people died because haven't they taken things off the shelf because it's dangerous to us? So my point is, just because something is USDA certified, it doesn't make it any safer. Just saying. So that story came out, and I want to show you a couple of other things. You can Google this on your own, okay? I want you to Google raid on Amish farm in 2022 after you read the link below. And you're going to get lots of headlines like this. Biden administration targets the Amish farmer with a raid. U.S. Marshals raid the Amish farm. Our food is under attack. Now, again, I don't know what side you stand on, where you are politically. It doesn't matter. I want you to look at this as facts. Read some of these articles and come up with your own conclusion. Is our food under attack? One of the things that I also read about this case was not only did they come and raid the farm and tell him to shut down, but they fined him with $300,000, which I wondered, was that even necessary? Again, I only read, know what I read, so I'm just giving you information. Now, this brings us to my next case. Earlier in the year, I did a video about Bill Gates and how he bought like 400 acres over in Amish surrounded area farms. And most of Amish farms are organic. They don't use fertilizers unless they're organic. They'll use fish, they'll use things like that, but they do not use fertilizer, chemicals, or anything like that. Just this past week, through the gossip chain, I guess you want to call it, Amish people don't really get on the phone and call each other like we do and say, hey, did you hear? They pretty much get together. And when there's a problem, they get all the elders or the bishops, and they will get together in different communities. So that's kind of how they communicate. The guy in charge, that leader, will get with other leaders and they'll discuss, hey, this is happening. What do we need to do about it? Because they want to preserve their way of life, and they want to preserve, stay in touch with things that are going on that are going to affect them. And one of the things that happened at that farm is they were spraying a fertilizer called DS2. Now, DS2 will help food grow faster, and it helps your yield, and it keeps plants, weeds out. Now, people might say, well, we need that for massive amounts of food to be grown. I don't know. I'm not a farmer, but I did look into this, and what was explained to my source is that the fertilizer that they used to use, DS2, they would spray their fields, and then it would affect the organic farms like kind of like a cycle. It would kind of hit them, it would blow in the wind, get off the plants, and go away. And then life went on. Well, now they're using something stronger. I cannot remember what it was called. I thought it was DS4, but I looked it up and it doesn't exist. So they're using something 3 or 4 times stronger. And what it does, kind of cool, it cycles 3 or 4 times. And now what happens is it affects the surrounding farms, which are organic, and not just once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. And now it is affecting the produce. And things aren't growing as well organically as it was because it's getting screwed by this fertilizer. Now, you might say, well, that sounds good. We need lots of food. We need to be able to have high yields. Well, I want you to Google, is fertilizer DS2 dangerous to humans? And you can see here, there are negative side effects on animals and humans. Why would the USDA approve a fertilizer that is harmful to us, but shut down a guy who doesn't use any chemicals and farms the old-fashioned way? Yeah, his yields may not be as high, but if you get out there and go for quality and help people have large farms and help them with the organic farming, maybe we'll be healthier. I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing healthier people here in the United States anyway, with our eating habits. Most of us, and I include, we're getting obese, we're getting diabetes, we're getting more ailments, and I believe it's coming from our food. I'm not a healthy eater, a health food nut, but I do understand that a lot of things I'm eating I probably shouldn't be. And I always ask when we talk about this, doesn't the FDA take this stuff off the shelves if it is harmful? Well, they don't, because they don't care. The question now that I want to answer, part 3, is what can you do about it? Like, it sounds like all doom and gloom, and sometimes life does. And I want to give you 3 tips that are very simple. You don't have to be living out here in the country. Doesn't matter where you're at, you can do something. Number 1, I do want you to stay aware of what's going on. I know, especially if you're younger, I did the same thing when I was younger. My dad was into politics and everything going on, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it, because it was depressing. And my advice to you, if you're in that stage, is be aware of what's going on. If people say things to you, just listen and politely, maybe not get engrossed in a conversation, but listen to them and find out your own facts and absorb enough that you know what's going on, and then live in your bubble. And that's kind of what I tell people, like a bubble that's safe, but you also know what's going on. And you need to still continue to live your life, but you can't live your life and pretend that nothing's happening, because it is. I mean, it's right there in front of you. Don't just watch one news channel, watch them all. Get all the different angles, Google all kinds of things, find out what's going on. Talk to different people. And it's, again, you don't have to get into these big debates, and it's just collecting information. I'm out here near the woods and there's bugs. All right, number 2,
My personal fear is the food supply. I've read a lot about hyperinflation and how other countries have crashed. You can look into Venezuela, into Cuba, into Russia, into China. I mean, there's a lot of history out there. Go read it if you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, that's fine. But my fear or my concern is the food. And so I've done things to try to get ahead of the game, if that makes sense. And I've got a whole playlist of prepping. I'm not engineering global or huge prepper. Like, you will see people that their whole basement is full. That's overwhelming to me. Because my husband and I have talked, I believe there's that moment when even if you prep, even if you prepare, there's going to be that day that you go to get something and you go, oh no, we don't have any left. We didn't get enough. You're never going to have enough. That's just the fact. If things get really, really bad, the time will come when certain things will slowly start disappearing. But you want to make it a slow process and make it as easy as possible for you and for your family. So one of the things I've done is done a little bit of prepping. Now, what if you don't have room to prep? You don't have room to store anything. That's fine. Watch those videos, see if you can do that. If not, here's step 2. During the spring and the summer, start growing food and have seeds available. I've got a link below where you can buy seeds that will stay in that packet for like 25 years, 15 to 25 years. I'm not sure on that specific one that I'm giving you at this moment. I have different ones, but one, it could be something you could barter with. I went out and bought some of those small little medicine baggies, and later if it gets bad and I need to bargain with some seeds and trade for something else, I can do that. So, because these seed packets have all kinds of vegetables and things I don't even eat, but they're food, and it's a good bargaining tool. And again, those little packets, I use them for medication anyway, for my mom, my husband, so they're not going to waste. You live in an apartment, you're saying, I can't grow anything. Go get some dirt, go get some pots, and start practicing now and growing a tomato plant in your windowsill or something else that you like to eat. You don't need 5 or 6 plants. You just need something for you. And if it's something you enjoy doing, and let's say you have a big window, you could have 3 or 4 tomato plants. You may get enough tomatoes that you can can them. You need to do what works for you, but don't sit there and say, well, I don't live out in the country, I can't do those things. Yes, you can make it work. Some of you have maybe a small backyard. Do whatever it is that you can do, but grow something. Now, the third one, what I think that we all need to do is, it's an old-fashioned way, another old-fashioned thing that people used to do back in the day, but get to know your neighbors, get to know your community. And I have not been doing that. I moved out here to the country. I just love being out here in the quiet and all by myself, which is not, I do, I just love it. I love the peace and quiet, but I've told myself, you know what, you need to get out and meet your neighbors and people in your community so that we will know where our neighbors are if things get really bad, and who needs help, and what are the tools that we can help each other with, if that makes sense. Every community has elderly people just living there by themselves. Find out who they are. A lot of times, even though they're elderly and they might not be able to physically help do something, they probably have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and probably some stuff hoarded in their house that might come in handy. So don't underestimate anyone. And I thought it was so cool the other day. My husband was driving down the road, and there was a small piece of land down the road, 4 acres, that somebody just moved in. We didn't know who. And my husband just saw the guy that bought it outside, an older gentleman, and just started talking. And he came home like 3 hours later because we were talking for 3 hours. He's ex-military. He had such neat stories to tell about his family, about the history in his life. And he got to know him. And the neat thing is, we're on the same page with a lot of our, the military, love our country, things like that. And so that's what I mean. Go out and know your neighbors. And if things go to hell in a handbasket, then you can all get together and help each other, because nobody in any catastrophe makes it by themselves. You have to have resources, and you have to start looking for those resources that you have. Every single one of us has different resources. I can't sit here and count on my Amish neighbors. I can learn from them. I know some of them, But when the shit hits the fan, I don't know what their beliefs are, what they will do. They may just kind of go more into themselves and try to help each other and keep the English out. I don't know, and I can't count on something I don't know about, if that makes sense. So if you have any questions, like, please share, because I am praying over this video that a lot of people intervene and give us more articles, give us more information. I love when people correct me or give me more information, because I am not an expert, okay? I only know what I look up, right? And I'm sharing that with you, and that's why I'm telling you, you got to come to your own conclusions. But I love you guys that offer more information, and I also love the people that will give more hints and tips and things like that. So please start a conversation below. Let's help each other here in a community online where we can, you know, help each other with tips and how you can make it through this. But all right, guys, love you. I'm not trying to give you gloom and doom, but I love my neighbors. And that when I just started reading about that Amish farm, it just upset me so much, because I never in a million years thought that they would be attacked. They have they've been quiet, they stay out of politics, they stay to themselves. They don't even, you know, they live a quiet, godly life and self-sufficient. And why are we bothering them? I mean, we can learn from them, and yet the government goes in and raids the farm, and it just blows my mind. So if that's happening there, I'm going to throw this in. They went after an ex-president, raided his home. These are things that have never happened before, and what's going on, right? So you have a good one. Have a blessed day. Just sit down, maybe pray about it, reflect, and come up with a list of 3 things that you're going to do. It doesn't have to be the things that I said, but maybe related to them. What are you going to do to help yourself make it when, not if, when things get tough? You cannot sit here and just hope you're going to make it, because you're not, if you're not prepared, and you have to have resources, and part of those resources are people. You need to have people with knowledge, people that you can connect with. All right, guys, have a blessed day. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.